This is a story from Los Angeles Times. It was just published today, July 15th, 2018, very early this morning, 4:05 a.m. So, if you can see from the title, I put their fear of future genetics. So, the fear of a black planet, basically. The title is Will We Care About Genes at All in 100 Years? And if you come down, they have this cartoon of this little scientist, I guess, analyzing some DNA, RNA strands. So it says genes are our modern idiom for itemizing life's variety and explaining human nature. We say there are genes for intelligence and shyness, genes for aggressiveness and maternal love. Researchers get billions from government agencies to carry out genome wide association studies that promise to wrestle down and eventually vanquish disease. Like the atom in physics, the gene is a building block that helps us describe reality. But are genes as a concept here to stay? Wilhelm Ludwig Johansen, a Danish botanist with round spectacles and a little white goatee, coined the term in 1909. To his generation, the gene was a heuristic that helped make sense of breeding experiments in fruit flies. Gregor Mendel as well dealt with flowers. He would breed flowers. So it says it's Greek etymology from genea, as in generation, divulged its significance. It says genes were things out of which other things arise. So the building blocks of what we are. It made sense to mentally situate them on the chromosomes, but no one knew what a gene was made of or had seen one. Of course, at that time, they didn't have modern technology. They didn't have the proper microscopy to analyze genes or even a fraction of the technology we use to analyze DNA and RNA. So it says here, are genes as a concept here to stay? And their analysis of genetics changed when James Watson, Francis Crick, and as well Rosalind Franklin came along. With their discovery of the double helix structure of DNA in 1953, a definition soon represented itself. A gene was a stretch of DNA which, copying itself with surprising fidelity, encoded a working protein. One gene, one enzyme became the creed. We know that's not true now. So, as they say here, that's a massive simplification. 9 out of 10 human genes, scientists learn, having at least one alternative form of expression or a mutation, meaning that two people could have the exact same gene, but an entirely different manifestation of it. There was another level of complexity added to this equation of genetics. One person's gene might express itself differently if that person is in a cold versus a warm environment. So this is where they have, excuse me, I have to close in this window. This is where you have the separation where they start to talk about different races and ethnic groups. So a person's in a cold versus a warm environment at a base camp or a peak at a peak altitude in the morning or at night. Then you talk about the fruit fly. That's not as important. Making a single protein often entails using pieces of many different genes strewn all over the genome. Some people now wonder whether it makes sense to speak of independent genes at all. But there is something even more damning. For more than a century, school kids have been taught that Austrian monk Gregor Mendel discovered dominant or recessive genetic traits. As we know, that's not true. This was done way back during ancient Egypt and Akibulon as well. I'm going to skip down some because I want to get to the social ramifications of this discussion. So let's come down some. Let's come down. So one thing they say as a solution to this is to drop the gene speak altogether and talk about DNA instead. Another is to apply the term gene to the actual molecules whose code is translated into proteins called messenger RNAs or mRNA. Third is to shift the whole narrative to proteins because that's what we need to fix when things go wrong. None of these changes are imminent. Today, we seem to need genes to describe our diseases, emotional states, and proclivities, to decide whether to chop off our breasts prophylactically or even to beg for lighter sentences in the courtroom. But will genes still be around 100 or 200 years from now? Ask the epicycles and the ether. For you to question whether genes will still be around, meaning you're asking if people will still be around. So a lot of this comes into the transhumanism argument that has been made specifically by NASA. They have the Robonaut. I know Anne has discussed this in some of her videos. You have Robonaut 2 here, technology, AI, the advancement of AI, where Robonaut is a dexterous humanoid robot is built and designed to help repair or improve machines. And this is a picture, these are pictures of Robonaut. There was one of him lifting a dumbbell, and there's one of him inside of a spacecraft they're used for training. And here's another demonstration. There's a video here. So I'll try to leave the link in the description box for that. But they go on and they're in the middle that I skipped, asking if genes will be important. And I think most of it is like they're fearing the future genetics, the fear of Black Planet. That would be my conclusion. But you all let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. If you've already subscribed, thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate your attention, your comments, your questions, emails. You can email me at NicoleAli864@yahoo.com. That's NicoleAli864@yahoo.com. And I'll talk to you all soon.